Welcome back into Infamously Speaking. I'm Matt, that's Quan. And first and foremost, off of the rip, we got to start the show by saying we appreciate everybody who tunes in. And I know we always say that and it becomes a cliche sometimes, but obviously for those that follow us, we took a little hiatus, a little break just to kind of reset, which we'll get into the importance of taking these resets later on in the show. But just the outpouring of feedback of people listening saying like I appreciate, for example, Quan sharing the experience and what he's doing with his mom and his grandmother inspired them to try to start building bridges that they felt like they might have burned down. And when we were talking about your thoughts aren't you, right? Like just because you have a thought doesn't mean you're a bad person. You only become bad when you start acting on those bad things. So I just really appreciate it, man. Like it's just a great affirmation that we're doing the right thing. So
Mm,
I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate the feedback, whether it's positive, constructive, negative. To me, it's all positive. Why? Because people are listening. Somebody means you listened. So appreciate it. Keep it rolling. And Quan, I'll kick it to you, my guy.
um, um, I feel the same way, right? Um, Countless amount of people reached out and was showing love, had opinions. On my brother specifically, your dad reached out. That was fire. So I appreciated all that. Um, that's what we do it for. It's like it started out with sports. We still talk sports, but it's meaningful, and I feel like there's a purpose when we put something out there and we're speaking from the heart and it resonates with people. And then you get the feedback, right? I got more feedback off of this than most sports takes. Granted, I'm not having any sports takes of the last half a year, but
Listen, I'm telling you this right now. You were on Patriots to the Super Bowl early. I'm just throwing that out there. And the year prior, we were on Rams winning the NFC West early too. Or was it? Yeah, it was the year Philly won the Super Bowl. We was on that. I'm just letting you know.
I mean, we got some good takes, man. Despite
Check
what
the
people think,
history.
even though
Check the
we're just those
history.
guys down the street.
Yeah, listen, it's okay. Listen, I'm not afraid to say when we whiff too. Big whiff on Marvin Harrison Jr. Big whiff. It turned out it turned out being Michael Wilson, the Michael Wilson show, which worked for me because I got him in Dynasty. But hey, we're not talking sports right now. But yeah, man, absolutely. So like I said, just as much as these shows do something for you all, your feedback does the same, if not more, for us. It's a motivation for us to continue to show up, even though we don't necessarily need the external motivation. It's always good to get it, and it's always good to have conversation. We always say if we can impact one person through anything that we say in a positive way, it is worth it. All the hours of working, all the cuts that you all don't see, and the takes that y'all don't see, it's worth it. So all right, let's dive in. Let's dive in. I got to do it this show because I didn't do it last show. The social media plugs, obviously at Infamously Speaking. It's down below me if you're watching on YouTube, but at Infamously Speaking, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Go follow, get clips of the show there. Go show love. If you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel and you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever that looks like, follow, subscribe, rate, leave a comment. Helps get the show out there and consider sharing it with somebody. Go tell them, hey, you need some motivation? Infamously Speaking, get better. Okay, at the top of the show, I talked about the 2-week hiatus, and we didn't really get into that last show. We didn't really talk about kind of why we did it. And it wasn't necessarily intentional, but I think it was really good. We had a great conversation, but I kind of want to talk about, at least spend the first part of this show talking about the importance of resets, whether it's a planned reset, which is probably the better one, or it's just like life is telling you to reset. And so I know for me, I talked about how the last 2 weeks felt like 3 years. Um, And so I'm just curious, and we could start here for you. When you get the opportunity to reset, one, how often do you feel like you're taking those moments to kind of just pause things, make sure that you're at where you want to be? And if you're not, what adjustments do you make? And why do you think that's so important to make sure you're taking those moments?
I've been taking the moments as much as I used to. I feel like I'm constantly on the go, like busy nonstop. My day will start and it's one thing after another, after another, after another. Whether it's cleaning, dishes, laundry, trash, Scooby, you know, making sure Noah's good. Like it's just nonstop. So I don't have anything planned. I usually wait till like summertime when it's actually nice out to enjoy my time off. But it is important to take time to yourself and reset just because clearing your mind. We talk about it all the time, like with mental health, and shit just adds up and adds up and adds up and adds up. I think the best time to do it is when you feel it's right. If you think you can plan something out ahead of time and really just give yourself some space. Based off of the last episode, I don't know if I told you this off air, but like I would intentionally find time to at least, pray or just meditate a little bit and just, collect my thoughts and speak. But that's been helpful in the meantime until I actually like be stress free. I don't know. For me personally, I haven't taken that probably since last summer when I was really working out and stuff. And like just hitting the road and riding a bike for fucking 6 hours, right? So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that was like taking the time for myself. You know what I mean? Like I would be able to just reset. No worries, no work, no stress, no nothing. Just me and my thoughts and the road.
No, I love that. I think most people are, and I'm generalizing here, so maybe I shouldn't, but I feel like a lot of us are that way, right? Where the longer reset doesn't necessarily come until a specific time of the year. For you, it might be summertime. For me, I know it's the longer resets typically when I go back home, right? Over in November, whether it's over Thanksgiving or a little bit before, where like I'm not thinking about really anything. I'm not thinking
Yeah.
about work. I don't have to really worry about the kids because I'm surrounded by family. Obviously, I'm still their dad, but we have a whole bunch of help that we normally don't have because we're away from all of our family. But I love the little mini things that you talked about because I think that if you take those little small moments to reset or kind of blow off some steam, you don't necessarily need the long ones. Like, that sounded crazy, number one, pause. But you don't need the long breaks as often, right? Because I feel like sometimes it feels like you're hanging on by a thread waiting to get to that long PTO, that long vacation that you got
Mm,
coming up. And instead of taking the little moments to recharge your battery, like you said, for you, if it's through prayer or taking a moment to meditate or even on the drive to work, or if it's in, Sunday cleaning. I know a lot of people like to do some Sunday cleaning, or when you're cooking, whatever kind of helps you just vibe out, zone out. And we've been talking about this a lot at work, which is there's so much shit to get done where it's hard to really pencil in time to just do one singular thing. And I'm sure you feel that way. It's not enough time in the day. It's like Monday starts, Sunday ends kind of deal. And there's just everything else in between. And so it's like, how can you, if you already have a jam packed schedule, this is more of a question. If you already have a jam packed schedule, how can you be intentional to try to either find the time or make the time? I have thoughts about it, but I want to get your thoughts first.
it depends on how much time, right? So even like I mentioned this in a couple episodes before, where a Padomo effect, a Padomo, forgot what it's called, but where
Pomodoro,
you
Pomodoro.
Pomodoro, yeah. So
I
you
listen,
work
bro.
for
I've been listening.
40, 50 minutes straight, and then you take that 10 minutes. Even that's a reset, so you don't get bogged down. I did that recently because I had to do a report and I was looking at all these numbers and just looking at the screen for so long. I was like, I need some fresh air. So I just went outside and took in the nice weather at the time and reset. And then when I went back to work, I felt refreshed and I got it done quicker than I probably would have if I just sat there and just tried to work my way through it.
For
Which
sure.
is like a great example of why it's good to reset because sometimes resetting will actually get you to your goal faster. Right? Even if you take a break, you get
Mm-hmm.
to your goal faster. Because you got that reset, you're now refreshed.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. It's like you step away from something and you're like confused, staring at it, and then you step away, you don't think about it, you come back, and then now it looks completely different, and you know the answer right away. You're like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, I'm good. So love that you called that out, and I love that method that you brought up of the Pomodoro effect. I haven't I haven't been doing it. But I remember when I did do it, I think I did it for like a couple of weeks. It was pretty effective. One thing that I was going to say was finding time in the things that I'm already doing. So if I'm doing something that's not really a stimulating activity, for example, if there's something I do every day, right? Like cook, for example. I cook every day for the most part. In that cooking thing, can I be more intentional about how I'm using that time to envelop some of these resets or something just to clear my mind? Right? Instead of maybe cleaning all the dishes while I'm cooking, maybe just sit back and relax a little bit. You know what I mean? As it goes, and
Mm.
just take time to like not really think about much. And again, that's what I meant when I said we talk about it at work was like we have all these innovative, cool things that we want to do, but we don't really have a lot of time. But how can we take those innovative things and put it into our pipeline of existing work so that we're doing two things at the same time? Because it's hard to just pencil out 30 minutes of your day to say, I'm not going to do anything in this 30 minutes. It's literally just brain break time, especially when you got work, kids, and kids have their activities. You have significant others, you have any other commitments you might have. It's hard to just pencil it out. So it's like, how can you be intentional with the things that you already do? If you're driving home from work, maybe you listen to music, maybe just try pausing it and driving. Maybe sometimes you just need is that silence. Like you said, just you and the road. So
No,
those
I
are some ways
respect
that I'm
that.
looking at it too.
No, and I dig that because it's like my favorite time of the day is usually driving home because I'm just listening to a lot of those podcasts I was telling you about and videos from Pastor Philip that either motivates me or has me read, think a lot of the things that, going through and shit like that. But, it's also prioritizing, right? If we're literally saying this is going to help us be better at what we're doing in the moment, then prioritize that break. Prioritize that and schedule it. I know you said, how do you schedule it in a jam packed thing, but that's where the priority comes in. Yeah, you got jam packed call after call, training here, report here, but if you schedule it and hold yourself to that, you're holding yourself accountable to that time. It might be detrimental looking at it in the schedule wise because you're interrupting the schedule, but really are you? Because you're refreshing, so you're better when you come back. You know what I mean?
No, that's a valid point. 100%. I always say if everything's a priority, then nothing is. You really got to prioritize something. And to your point, sometimes taking that break, it makes you more efficient. Like it's funny. So I remember this was either in a mock interview or in an actual interview. I got asked this question. And so I'll let you answer it first because I'm curious what your thought is. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. You did it to me last
Mhm.
show. Now it's your turn. What's more important, efficiency or creativity, and why?
Mm. In terms of what though? Painting, I want more creativity. I don't need to be efficient painting.
Just in your let's do something everybody can relate to in your workflow. Whatever the workflow is it more important to be creative or is it more important to be efficient?
Well, you're talking to a creative person, so I'm naturally gonna say be more creative. But with being more creative, sometimes you could be more sporadic and not as consistent that you need to be. So depending on your job, right, you might need to be efficient. If you're fucking building stuff for, you know, submarines, I want you to be efficient than being creative. I'm just,
I know, but I don't want you to. I just want you to pick an answer and tell me why. Like, just what to you, what you think is more important. There's no right answer here, by the way. Like, I just
I
want
don't,
you to
yeah, I mean,
to
it depends
you
on the situation.
to you, Quan the person. What is more important?
Being creative.
Okay, why?
Because if you're being creative, you're being yourself. Sometimes people be efficient when you're just doing the workflow or the patterns that you're used to. But
Hmm.
that doesn't separate you from the pack. Maybe that's just me and my competitiveness. Like I want to be great. So to be great, I gotta put my spin on it. It's why I gotta be creative. I feel like I'm in a interrogation room, but it's all good. I like this.
Nah, no. So listen, what do you? Before I give my answer, what do you think my answer is?
You look like the efficient type.
Yeah, well, so here's my answer to it. Creativity is more important. And here's why. I believe that creativity unlocks new efficiencies. So, for example, you talked about people assembling something. Well, if somebody was like, hey, we got this assembly line of people doing everything, right? It's efficient. But somebody was creative enough to be like, can we build something that can assemble these things? Instead of having 10 people passing things down a line where somebody can mess up and now there's more error points in each of it. So someone had to be creative enough to say, yeah, this is efficient, but I can make this better. So because of that creativity, you invented something that then unlocked a new efficiency. So I think it's more important to be creative.
Mm, that's a great answer, guy.
You like that, right? Go ahead, take that.
You must have got
You
the
could use that
job.
in if you ever get asked. But honestly, I think, but to your point, right? Like that's what makes you stand out is because people that I think are more focused on being efficient. And again, this is not everybody, right? So but if the shoe fits, then let's figure out why. To your point, can tend to kind of just fall in line and just do things a certain way and say, well, why are we changing if it works? And we know that in today's environment, especially with all the exploitations of AI, that could be a very dangerous trait to have. Where people that are more creative are going to be like, oh, this is really dope. How can I get this to help me improve what I do? To improve, again, the efficiencies of my work. To maybe clear some time, I can pass this off where I now can clear time to be more creative. Because I think that's what's really going to separate people is their ability to be creative. Because we have technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all kinds of robotics that are built to be efficient. While
So let me
people,
ask
we're
you
built
this.
to be creative.
No, that's a fact. But here's what I ask, right? Because in many fields and many people's minds, they feel like AI and all that is gonna take more jobs. So you may be more efficient because you created this system of robots being able to be in that line, right? And build these things. But now you're losing labor for other people, which impacts their life.
So I would say, yeah. I mean, obviously that's a thing. But I would then also challenge those people to say, you know what, I see this coming. What can I do? What new skills can I learn so that I'm not replaced? Because the thing is, those things are going to need maintenance. Those things are going to need people that continue to evolve upon it. So what
Mm,
can you do? Like if you notice that the assembly line man slash woman job is becoming obsolete, are you just gonna wait and stay there in fear and say, I hope it's not me that's getting the pink slip this round?
mm,
Or are you gonna be proactive to be like, you know what? I see the end of this. How can I be next to the guy that made this thing? Or what can I do to continue to be an asset? How can I learn new skills and change things? Because the fact of the matter, we both know this. That person that worked on that assembly line's knowledge and experience is invaluable. Because
mm.
even as you continue to create new solutions, the fact of the matter is you're still trying to solve for this basic thing. We need to build the thing. And nobody knows better how to build the thing than the people who built it. So then as you
Yes.
go and try to create new technologies or new things, you could say, well, no, we know that's not going to work because of XYZ thing. And I know that because from my time on the line, that just doesn't work. Right. But how about we try it this way? Right. I'm sure you speaking to people that are in headquarters and they're saying certain things and you're like, that sounds good in theory, but how about you try implementing that practice that
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
recommending? There's
Yeah.
no chance. But that's because they've become so disconnected from either A, they were never in the trenches, or B, they become so far away from their times in the trenches that they need a little bit of a reality check.
Hmm.
But it's about how do you evolve yourself constantly.
Yeah. So I get that, right? Because you should be getting with the program, or at least ahead of the curve, right? That's why, like when new stuff always comes out, I try to spearhead that instead of having that friction, right? Instead of
Mm.
pushing against the grain. And I'm one to challenge stuff. So I'll challenge stuff. But at the end of the day, it's really just to understand more of what the next best thing, or how that's going to be impactful or valuable to someone's life. I'm thinking more so too when I thought of like AI and stuff like that. Like I feel like the older generation, they have a hard enough time now with technology for them to keep up. I feel, the majority is gonna have a hard time with that.
Getbetter.com. No, I mean, but again, we talk about all the time. Is it possible? Yes. It's skill versus will. Do you want to? Maybe you don't. Maybe like, I'm retiring in a couple of years, and you know what? I'm just waiting for them to hand me the pink slip. I know some people that are in that position where they're like, you know what? I'll work as long as they need me to, but the next time we know there's layoffs and they ask me to take a severance, I'm taking it. I've been through multiple layoff cycles, where I work, and every single time I've known people in that situation where like, hey, listen, the next time this opportunity comes up to take the layoff and take a severance, I'm going to. And it could be whatever. They just don't agree with the way the company's going, or like you said, they don't want to get with the technology and they're close to retirement, whatever it might be. Now, not everybody's in that, doesn't have that luxury, but again, it's skill versus will. What are you willing to do to survive?
No, that's a fact. You know, it's funny. I was outside yesterday, and a bird had flew by me. A little bird, nothing crazy. And I was like, yo, if I needed to eat, right? Like if the fucking world was shut down, would I be able to catch and kill that bird and then eat it and cook it and all that? And I was like, probably not. And I wouldn't be able to survive. But I don't even know how like because the will thing or the will to survive, right? So I agree.
That's
It's
funny.
just well, I was thinking
Well,
about the
I've
oh,
thought about that before. And I was like, you know what? If that was the case, right? You're in those like apocalyptic situations. I'm like, would I even want to be on this earth during that time?
probably not.
Right. So it's like, you know what?
Yeah, but you're not gonna off yourself.
No, I'm not. But I'm not necessarily like this is gonna come to a point where it's like, you know what? I'm ready to go. Especially if the people that
For
I care
sure.
about, if the people I care about get slimed out early and they're gone, I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna I'm gonna want to be gone with them. You get what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah, but what does that look like? You could want to be gone, but like
what does that look like? I don't know what it looks like. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I might not fight it as much as I would now when we're not in
fight
that.
what though? Like what are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? I don't know. It depends on what situation I'm in. This is a tough one, but
You're not
like,
gonna. I doubt you're gonna be like, you know what?
would I
My
be
family's
more
not
willing?
here.
Would I be more
You know what? I
willing?
don't need to catch that bird. I'll just be famished.
No, I wouldn't want to go out like that because that's like a slow burn. Like, I'll be alright if this guy shoots me.
Well, how do you? This guy shooting you. Where's this coming from? I never mentioned the guy shooting you.
I'm just saying, like, but in post-apocalyptic type scenarios, there's always people with weapons that hold the power, or whatever. Like, I'm gonna go try to challenge them and get slimed out and call it a day.
What if you win?
What if I win? Oh, that'd be some shit. God is funny. It's not time for me to go then. At that point,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, listen, then it's not time for me to go. I gotta accept that. But I wouldn't want to live in those the things that are portrayed in movies and stuff, like The Walking Dead. Fuck that, bro. That's whack as shit. That's whack as shit.
I think I'd want to cut off at least one zombie's head.
Sure, that's fine. But like, I definitely don't want to get eaten. Like that shit seems like a terrible way to go.
Yeah, that's wild.
I think I would try to run to the border like of North Korea and just get smoked by a landmine or something.
How you getting over there?
I don't know,
How
bro.
you
Shit
getting over there?
happens. Shit happens. Well, Walking Dead happened in like Georgia, right? Some shit like that.
That's where it started.
Makes sense. Somewhere in the
Man,
South.
crazy times, man.
I don't even know how we got here. Let me bring it. Let's on the conversation real quick. And I want to kind of move away from the post-apocalyptic, even though we're just talking about emotions, right? I think a really good reset could also be, or a part of a really good reset, especially if it's like a more prolonged one, is working through emotion. Because I think that's something, especially as men, especially in the Latin, Asian communities. I know also too, like in the Black community as well. Sometimes showing your emotion is often looked down on, right? Or except unless it's anger. It's good to show anger, not good to show any other kind of emotion. To you, A, why is it so important to give yourself that space to let out the emotion? And B, what are some healthy ways that you can do it? right? Because I feel like so many of us kind of let it bubble up because we're taught to eat it, right? Like just hold on to it, hold on to it, hold on to it until it does kind of overflow. Why is it important? And what are some healthy ways to kind of during your reset, kind of let those emotions out?
I think it's important because just like you said, it's detrimental. You keep that shit inside until you blow up and you just go wild and crash out. That's not the right thing. I think it's also important because when you reset, you give yourself that opportunity to just be refreshed, really, and just have a clear mind. Like, so little things that I do, I'll purposely take time and intentionally take time to just either pray or just sit in my thoughts for a little bit. Other things you can do is talk to someone if you have someone to talk to and let those emotions out. Obviously, hopefully, it's someone that's not judging you, but also just able to listen. That's something that I learned recently too. Is like sometimes people just need to vent. So I'll ask them like, "Do you want me to just listen, or do you want a response?"
Yeah.
Look, like he was gonna say something.
No, I love that. I love that. My son had walked in and I was saying some things to him. I'm glad that I remembered to mute myself. So I wanted to talk about that venting part because, man, like, I feel like it's really important, but I feel like if it's not done right, it could be really, really dangerous. And the reason I say that is like, have you ever, like tried venting to somebody and then you see them also getting upset at the
Yes,
situation? Because
100%.
like there's some situations where someone just clearly does you wrong. I mean, we were in a situation, right, where we thought that somebody was right for a role and somebody else got it, and that didn't go over well. But you're trying to vent something, and then that other person is getting upset with you or for you because they're like, "Damn, you really got done foul."
Hmm.
And I feel like that could be really dangerous because you don't want hatred or anger to enter this person's heart. So it's like, how is there a right way to vent? I guess is what I'm saying. Like, how do you, or even if you're the person that is being vented to, like, how do you guard your heart from that anger of the situation impacting you, even though you're trying to be a ear for this person so they can kind of help work through those emotions. If that makes sense. If I need to
No,
rephrase, let me know.
no, it makes sense. I mean, I've been in this situation recently too often. So I try to remain positive, right? And I try to change their outlook and their not necessarily change, but give them a different perspective. I'm like, look, you know, I I feel where you're coming from. Well, I'm listening and I understand, but think about what maybe that person was doing or thinking. And if they are completely in the wrong, it's like, no, they were in the wrong. But are you gonna let them hold that over you? Because it's still on your mind because you're venting to me now. And if you need to get that off your chest now, then I'll listen. I think that to not absorb that hatred or that malice, you just gotta be you gotta have an open heart in a sense of like just because they're going through that or they did that, how can I help my person? Because if someone's venting to me, more than likely that's my friend or family member, right? So because I want what's best for them, I'm not gonna just take all their information and just walk off the edge with them. Right? It's more like let me help you keep you away from that edge so you don't jump. And how do I do that? Depending on the situation, is the conversation.
That's wisdom, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people around the world. Remember that was in the intro? That used to be the intro.
That do.
That's wisdom. And those are the kinds of people, for everyone that's listening, those are the kinds of people that you want in your life. Right there. Right there. We said it multiple times on this show. If you get angry at something and someone starts agreeing with you, run. Run.
Mm,
Do not vent to that person no more. Because, like you said, that person's gonna they might even encourage you to walk off the ledge. Like you're
yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
ledge, and they're like, "Do it, do it, do it." Now you was right. I can't believe that you. How many times have we heard, "Man, I can't believe you didn't spaz on him."
Mm,
I know we've all heard that, right? Like, man,
mm,
I can't believe you didn't spaz, right? And it's like, no, I'm literally talking to you, so I don't do those things. I just
Yeah,
gotta get
yeah,
this
yeah.
off my chest. But I love that you did that. Like you said, in the moment, the person that's venting to you is probably gonna feel like, yo, this person is not looking out for me. But in all reality, you are, right? You're
Hmm.
saving them from going out looking like an idiot, right? Doing something worse, making a situation that something that it doesn't need to be. You're protecting them by saying, you know what? Like you said, well, asking some questions like, well, the person that did this, like, have you considered that XYZ thing might have happened to them?
Hmm.
Or like tell me about the relationship that you've had before. Has anything else happened? Because there's a chance that the person that's venting to you, remember, we all know there's three sides to every story. One side, the other side, and the truth. We don't
Yeah.
always tell the truth when we're venting, right? So it's like that's another thing to keep in mind. Like, are you really telling me to like you only giving me the half, or you telling me the whole? Like, what's that sounded crazy, but like, what are you telling me? So I love that you brought that up because that is really powerful. Because I think it's so easy to get enveloped in a situation because that is your friend and you're taught from young, like ride or die, right? Especially in our communities, right? Like if that's your boy, you hold your boy down, you
Yeah,
ride with him.
I think that's one of those things though. It's like, yo, in public I'll never like disagree necessarily, depending on if it's something wild. But behind closed doors, I gotta keep it real with you. Like that's not the right move. I've had a lot of conversations like that as well, where someone was going through some stuff, and I held them down in public. But when we got back to the crib, it's like, yo, why did you do that? Like, why did you think that was the right thing to do? I got one for you too. So, what about someone who's venting, right? And it's it's not to you, right? Let's just say, I don't know. Let's just say one of your friends was beefing with one of their friends, so they start venting. They send this long message about how it makes them feel, but there's no. It's just that, right? There's no like resolution. It's more about this is what I'm feeling. Like, what is your take on it?
I think it's kind of similar to like when we talk about at work, where it's like, are you coming to me with a problem? I want you to come to me with a solution, kind of deal. Where it's like, are you just talking just to talk because you want to hear yourself? Because I feel like part of the venting process is not just getting it out there, right? For whoever you're talking to know. I feel like you're also looking for some kind of resolution of like, how do I handle this? How should I feel? How should I move forward in this situation? So I feel like there needs to be some part of that in the conversation. But to your point, it could be well, tell me more about that. Like, what is that? What's really happening as you're starting to talk them down, right? They're getting that resolution, right? Where they're coming to like, you know what? You're right. I didn't even think about the thing that I did to them last week that I thought was a small deal might have really been a big deal to them. And that's why they're acting that way. Or I know they're under an immense amount of stress and they just snapped. Or I know they're going through this terrible thing in their personal life and it just happened to flood over and I caught the bad end of it, right? So I feel like that's an important part of the venting process. Like if you're someone that is being vented to and you're trying to help this talk this person off the ledge, like it shouldn't just be like I said what I had to say. Cause I don't really know, to be honest with you, at least for me personally, that doesn't really do anything for me. Just saying something with no action feels like hollow words to me.
And that's kind of what I meant, right? Like, I had a friend and he going through some shit. So he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna text this guy this." I'm like, "Why?" I'm what is your outcome? Like, what do you want the outcome to be? Just that they know that you're upset? I mean, is that really worth it? I mean, it might be for that person, but I'm asking questions. If there's no if there's no positive outcome, why compound it with more stress or negative talk?
This guy is good. I love that. I love that. You know why? Because we talk about that all the time, especially like in leadership conversation. Is like, what exactly are you looking to learn when doing this? Or what are you looking to prove or to do? Like you kind of go in with the outcome in mind. And if you're going into something without an outcome in mind, you're going in blind. It's like the
Mm,
people who uh, fail to plan to fail kind of deal.
mhm.
if you're gonna go into a conversation like that, you should go in with an outcome in mind. Like, for example, whenever I go and seek counsel, whether it's from my parents, from my pastor, from wherever it might be, there's an outcome I have in mind. I want to be educated and I want wisdom to be passed on to me about whatever I'm facing. If I have to make a big decision, I'll give an example. I haven't shared this yet. I won't get into too many details. Our time in Washington is coming to a close pretty soon, right? We had to make a big decision. I won't get into it. I'll talk about more where we're going at a later time, maybe when we actually get there. But that wasn't an easy decision. But the first thing that I did, I prayed about it. But I prayed with the outcome in mind that I'm gonna receive an answer, and I did. And the answer was go seek counsel. Speak to those who've come before you that have wisdom. So I spoke to my parents. I spoke with my pastor. Again, with those in those conversations with an outcome in mind, right? Like guidance on what the right thing to do is. And after I did those things were in place. It was really easy to make a decision after that. But I was going in, there was an outcome in mind. I know what I wanted from what I was doing. I wasn't doing something aimlessly. And I think it applies to venting too, or the person listening, but really to the person venting. What is your outcome? If it's just to get a pressure off your chest, just saying it, in my opinion, like I said, is hollow. Like if you went and vented to me, because we all know people like this, right? They kind of go down their contact list. They say this to this person, then they get somebody else, and they do the same thing to somebody else. They work their way through the friend group, right? Where it's like, why? What are you looking to do except for get everybody upset with you?
And we talk about like people being positive. I think sometimes people don't even realize that they're bringing that energy, and you're gonna find yes men and yes woman right along the line of that contact list. But that should, at the end of it, you should be like, all right, I'm never contacting that person again if they are, because like you said, not only are they not keeping you from the ledge, they're probably pushing you towards it, which is not a good thing. So you know, I thought about it, right? Because I've called you multiple times throughout the years, where it's like, yo, I gotta talk, and I'll vent to you, and you'll give me some advice, and either I'll take it or I'll just keep to myself, or go down the rest of my contact list, wait until somebody says, yeah, go fucking
Fight that dude.
yeah.
Yeah. No, totally. And listen, we said it on this last show, and I'm going to continue to reiterate it to the end of time. We are not perfect. Well, let me speak for myself. I am not perfect, right? It's not like I have figured this out completely. Who is this? 1 second. What's good, Ezekiel? Yeah, go get it. You know how to get it. Okay. I see you later. I see you later. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Shout out to my guys. I forgot where I was at. What I was saying is, I'm not perfect. And as we say these things on the show, we're not saying them to be like, yeah, we're perfect. Yeah, we know exactly what we're doing in life. It's just what we're saying, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that we've done it both ways, right? We've
Mhm.
gone down the path of just venting to vent, or we've been vented to for people just to vent, and we've seen it negatively impact that people that we vented to, or us get angry with somebody, and then we've done it the other way, and we found more success, more inner peace, more peace for the person that we care about when we do it one way. So I just want to put that out there for the people that are listening. It's not like, man, Matt Quan trying to say like they're this prime example. It's like, no, but we we've implemented both ways, and unfortunately sometimes it's the first where we talked about is bad, and we lose the fall victim to past habits, to our own emotions, to whatever it is. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I know sometimes it's easy to say, but it's not an easy practice. It's not an easy practice.
No, for sure. And I'm far from perfect. I'm just usually sharing a life experience. Like you said, it's something we implemented. Either we did the wrong thing and the right thing, and we just try to share that to maybe help someone else to prevent them from doing those wrong things. You, you said something that stuck out to me is like, if you care for the person, like if you care for that person that you're venting to, you don't want to give them that bad energy. That's why too, like going back to like the last episode, I've isolated myself because I know I was carrying so much negative energy for all the negative shit I was going through. I didn't want to spread that to other people. You know what I mean? So I consciously was like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. I'm too angry, too frustrated. It's naturally just gonna pour out because I'm just going through shit.
Right.
So I just, instead of spreading that, I'd rather just hold that myself and then talk that. So what's been helping me, right? If I'm not talking, just to put that out there, like, is having those conversations with God and like, yo,
Mhm.
help me understand.
I love what you said about taking that into prayer because God's always going to be a positive force. He's never going to encourage you to do what's wrong, no matter how right you might think it is. We talk about all the time on the show. It's better to do what's right than it is to be right. So I love that you called that.
Yeah, and I also understand like he might not show me um the understanding, at least not right away, right? But I think that's why it's important to still continue to have faith. Like, he will, right? It might not be today, it might not be when I'm asking for it, but it will come when he wants it to become known of why I'm going through what I'm going through. In fact, I don't even like saying that no more. It's like, it's no more of like, why am I going through this? Like, help me understand the reason behind it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a
Yeah.
reason why this is happening to me now. Instead of playing victim and saying, why me? Why me? And that's another thing, right? You just talked about it recently. It's like when people vent to you, and that's cool. But how many times? Like, what are you doing about it at this point?
Yes.
Every day somebody's fucking you over or doing you wrong. Come on,
Yes. Yes.
change your environment.
Man, that's fire. That's fire. Like, I don't think people realize the power of that when that switch flips, when you realize it's like, yo, wait a minute, I'm probably doing something that's causing this situation. Now the thing is, like, to your point, do you need to understand why these things are happening to you? No. All you need to understand is this: very simple, very, 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 very simple. I just got to do what's right. When I know to be right, I just got to do that. And that is what it is. That is just as simple as that, right? And the more you question why, to your point, the more trouble that you get in, the less peace that you have. And you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes. You don't need to be a detective. Like you said this all the time. In America, it's like we have everything, right? The people we don't realize how good we have it until you go and you visit, a country that might be considered a third world or second world country, right? When you go and visit places, like sometimes people do, like if you visit parts of some of the vacation islands, right? Like people love going to Jamaica, but what do they tell you when you go to Jamaica, DR, some parts in PR, right? What do they tell you? You might want to stay on the resorts, right? Like don't, unless you know people, don't go out. But when you go out to those places, that's when your eyes are really open to be like, these people don't have much at all. But yet, why are they so happy? Why are they so
Mhm.
grateful? Like they don't even have a tenth of what I have, and yet they're smiling, they're laughing, they're happy, they're welcoming. Why? It's because they're simple people, and I don't mean
Mhm.
simple as an insult, because I know sometimes that's considered an insult when you say people are simple. I mean that in the highest compliment possible. They're just grateful for life, man.
Yes.
They're grateful that they have the opportunity to see the next day. And when you start
Hmm.
living that way and be like, yo, I can improve myself. It's not always somebody else doing me something. It's what am I doing? That's when you start walking in power.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like my peace has been protected 10 times since I've kind of implemented that in my behaviors and my ideas of like, I don't need to know. I just need to continue to do what's right. Basically what you said. And once you get that, like you said, I think people will start finding more peace. And you'll stop being in everybody's, business that you don't need to, or implementing yourself into these situations of conflict or stress, right? Because you're like, I don't need to do that. I'm good where I'm at. Let me just continue doing what I'm doing. If
Right.
someone does me wrong,
That's it. You know what? Someone did me wrong. I hope they get blessed. You know, one thing that I learned from young was like, you know what the best way is to get revenge on people that do you wrong?
Succeed.
Not even that. Yeah, that's a big one. But just keep doing right to them. Keep being good to
Oh
them.
yeah.
You
Oh
know
yeah.
why? Because they're not gonna be able to understand. Like, man, and eventually, two things are gonna happen. Right? There's two outcomes here. Either A, they're just gonna not fuck with you anymore. Period. So then you don't even have to worry about them. They're just out of your life. Or two, they're gonna break and they're gonna change and they're gonna have a realization of like, I've done all of this to you and yet you've remained faithful. I've seen the way you've moved. I did this to you and you've done nothing but be good to me. When you had opportunities to rightfully trash me in front of the boss or people that have power to promote me, you didn't. You pointed out the good things that I do at work instead of pointing out the negative things that I do. And that's going to break them because they see what you're doing is right. And so either one thing's going to happen. They're going to be gone or they're going to change. And it's because you continued to do what's right. And it might not change for everybody, but they're going to treat you different. Because like, man, this person, whatever it is, right? This person continued to do good to me. So that's what I've been taught from young. Like, someone keeps doing you wrong, either you keep doing right, they're gonna move away because they can't take it, or they're gonna break. They're gonna
But what
break.
if? So let me just throw a little wrench in there.
Get
What if
ahead.
it's someone that sees that, but pretty much trying to take advantage?
It's like what I said last episode, bro. You're never gonna lose by doing what's right, and you're never gonna lose by giving too much.
Yeah, but sometimes doing what's right is by just cutting them off. That's the
But we
part.
talked.
It's almost like the leave story.
We talked about it though. Cutting them off in what way? Like, you're not giving them as much as your time, or your availability to them is different. Well, if
Yeah,
it really
I think you
okay,
have to in
yeah.
situations.
But
Otherwise,
that's
you're
the
going to
thing,
continue to just do right, and
right?
you're continuing doing wrong.
But that's the thing. That's the thing though, right? Where it's like, you know what? Things have to change. And if things don't change, then the gap's going to grow. Or if you want things to change, then this is what needs to happen. And whatever they value more, that's the path they're going to go down. And I'm saying it really easy, like it's not difficult for you cuz like you said, you could really care about that person. That the gap is widening between you two. But at that point, it's like I always talk about it this. What do you value more? What do you love more? What do you love more? Like, I love my wife more than anything, more than almost anything, right? But very simple. And I told this to her. And I learned this at church, and I told this to her. I'm like, but I need you to understand there's someone I will always love more than you. And if it ever came to a decision, I need you to know there's no decision to be made. You already know what way I'm walking. So I encourage you to walk with me. But I can't force you to do that. I can't force you to. And I won't force you to. Because if I force you, neither of us are going to win. But my belief is that if I continue to do what's right, and again, like I said, I fall short all the time. I'm not saying I'm perfect. But if I continue to do what's right, it's going to inspire her. When she continues to do what's right, it inspires me. When I see her winning and her doing the right things, it inspires me to continue to. We feed off each other. She does what's right, it inspires me. If I could do what's right, it inspires her. When we see our children doing what's right, it inspires the both of us. And we just keep feeding off each other. Right? They always say birds of a feather flock together. And that's true in every walk of life. So that's the goal. But I can't force anybody to do it. Even my own children. I can't. There's going to come a point where they need to make a decision for themselves. They have to. I had to make a decision for myself. Which way am I going to walk? So, that's just how I look at it. But you're always going to choose what you love more. And your actions are going to show what you love.
No, I respect that.
And again, I'm not saying it like it came off the tongue easy, but it's not easy in practice. I'm not going to bullshit you. Like we talked on last episode when we have get-togethers and things that were going on Saturday nights. Did I want to be there? Of course I wanted to be there. I wanted to hang out with the crew. I wanted to be with my people. But what did I value more? So that was just something I had to sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice?
Love it. Love it.
I did want to just real quick go back to that whole venting thing, because you always hear like it's important to let it out, right? It's important to kind of let those emotions that you feel out. But like we've been saying, there's a way to do it. And we talked about people venting to you, right? Like, how do you protect yourself? My question is like, when you need to vent, I know you said sometimes like you don't, right? You just like, you try to be reserved. How do you
No, I
walk
do.
that?
Just
How do you walk that fine line though? Of like, well, I know you now you're starting to pray, which I think is phenomenal. And so maybe that is the answer, right? But it, like for those that necessarily don't have that same belief, like what is I don't even know how to say, like, is there a right way to vent? I guess is kind of what I'm trying to get to.
I get what you're saying, because you could be wary, or you could like we talked about, you could spread that energy to people that you care about. Is there a right way to vent? Sure, because some people when they vent, they're looking for that yes man, and they're looking for the validation. We talked about that
Yeah.
last episode. Like you need validation of, oh, this is. I think if you sit with yourself, and I get it, some people don't have that faith. It's never too late though.
I agree with that.
There's that, right? So
I agree with
I
that.
think that if you sit with yourself and you have these thoughts, like venting doesn't always necessarily mean to the person too, like to another person. Or if you do vent, my recommendation is you have some kind of resolution. What kind of clarity do you want? What are you seeking? Right? It's almost like the sending that message. What are you seeking out of doing that? If you're venting just to vent, just to get it off your chest, I think that if you go into a conversation, right? Like if I'm going into a conversation with you and it's something that I'm pissed off about, I would want to tell you probably before, like preferably before I start the conversation, like, man, just so you know, I got it. I'm just getting this shit off my chest. That way, there you're already in the mindset of, okay, he just needs to get, he just needs to get this shit off his chest. He doesn't need a response. He doesn't need my agreement. He just needs to talk or just let it out. I think that's just clear communication. But we talk about that all the time. People lack that. So
Totally. Yeah.
a wrong way to vent, though, yeah, I'm sure there is, because again, if you're just looking for that yes man, or you're looking for that validation, there's nothing coming out of that. There's nothing positive. That's my opinion.
Nothing. No, I'm with you on that. And I think it becomes like obvious, right? Like, for example, whenever I want to vent about something because I'm frustrated about it, I'm going to call somebody that I know is not going to agree with me. Right? So, great person I call. My parents are really good at that. My parents are really, really good at like, nah, you know what I mean? Even when I had to make the decision to move my family, A, to Washington and B, to where we're going next, I had a lot of emotion where it's like, I'm not fucking doing that. No fucking way. I'm not doing that shit. Right? Like that was the immediate emotion. But it was because, again, like, I'm like, I know who I could call, like with an outcome in mind, like kind of just like, again, take a reset now. It's a reset on thought. Like, help check me in this situation. And so I think you start to learn like who in your circle can you really go to that is willing and is brave enough, and keyword, they love you enough to check you. That's the thing. Like, and we talked about love a little bit last episode, and I think this is a big thing too. Like the people that are willing to check you are people that the right way are people that love you, because they're like, you know what? I don't know how this is gonna go when I check you. But even if this sends our relationship in a bad spot, I'm willing to sacrifice that to make sure that you hear what you need to hear.
Yeah.
And those are the people that you tend to grow most fond of anyways. Think about this in the simplest form.